Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Ellie Wyndham, and I'm the founder of Walking Out of the People's Shoes, and I am the program manager, and we are an online community, and we help to promote women of color and their stories through storytelling and community events. And this is one of our events that we host monthly. We host every first Thursday of each month, and we feature a book that Mia usually chooses and introduce us to. We usually have two facilitators. However, Amy isn't able to come, but she is the art teacher. She usually does a little demo and that's related to the book, but she is a Taiwanese American artist and educator based in LA. And now we have Mia Wenjen, and she is a blogger on parenting, children's books, and education at pragmaticmom.com. And she is also the co-creator of the Multicultural Children's Book Day, a nonprofit celebrating diversity in children's books. And she's based in Massachusetts. Sorry, wrong state. But yeah, so we're really excited for you all to join us. And Mia, you can go ahead and start.
Okay, great. Well, I'm excited because we made it to September, and it's the start of the school year, but it's also Hispanic Heritage Month, which is coming up shortly. And that's the one month that's kind of weird because it starts mid-September, September 15th, and goes through October 15th, whereas all the other kind of months fall on the full month. And I don't know why it's 2 half months, but it is. And so this month I picked a gift for Abuela. It's by Cecilia Ruiz. And I just thought it was a really beautiful story, and I like the artwork. And Amy was going to do an artwork based on paper cutouts. So even though she isn't here, you can see from the illustrations, it's really easy to do sort of like, you know, the way you would use like coffee filters to do like snowflakes or that type of art. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a few of my favorite pages to read and talk about, because I never like to read the whole picture book because I never want to violate the copyright. And just as a little aside, Cecilia Ruiz, I think she will be joining us via video in the future. She'll make a video and she'll talk about her book for us. But unfortunately, she lives in Brooklyn, and they got 7 inches of rain, and she got flooded. So her hands are very busy. And so what's so interesting about this book, it's set in Mexico. And I don't know if any of you remember, there was like a Mexican, like sort of hyperinflation, peso currency, financial crisis. And that wasn't that long ago. I think it was, I looked it up. I think it was like in the late 80s. No, in the early 90s. And so there aren't a lot of picture books that kind of talk about economics or money. And this one does, which I thought was kind of fantastic, but also it's also just about the story of intergenerational grandparent, grandchild love. And so this is the first page I'll share, which is, Abuela's heart overflowed with tenderness the moment she held Nina for the first time. Though Nina might not remember it, she felt cozy and loved in Abuela's arms. Nina and Abuela spent a lot of time together. They liked making up silly songs. They loved spinning around until they both felt dizzy. Abuela liked teaching Nina how to make papel picado banners. And Nina loved making Abuela laugh. And so these banners, which I'll try to do a close-up, is like these cutout banners. So they would like, it's like paper cutting, and then they'd string them together. One day, Abuela had an idea. She would save 20 pesos every week until she had enough money to buy Nina a very special gift. Maybe a bike she could ride to school. Maybe a puppy she could play with. Or maybe Abuela could take Nina to see the ocean for the first time. And so then I'm skipping ahead, but then all of a sudden the financial crisis hit and the peso was not worth as much money as it was. And so what you could buy with the peso now cost maybe 3 times that or more. And so that was really hard on everyone who lived in Mexico because their paycheck didn't increase. So things just kept getting more expensive. People were hungry and upset. Things got difficult for Abuela too. One week she had no extra pesos to put away in her secret spot. She had this can that she would put the money in, and then she put it on top of her refrigerator. Then the government changed the money. People had to turn in their old bills for nuevos pesos. The old bills became worthless. So they changed like their money from one system to another. And it was pegged to the US dollar. There was a big international bailout. But the bad part was the agreement was the peso was fixed to the US dollar. So even though the peso was losing more and more money, they still had to repay the loan based on this original deal. So just Mexico started dipping into all their country's discretionary funds, and the money got very, very tight, and it was very bad for Mexico. So basically the time goes by and Nina gets a little bit older and they get busier and they don't see each other as much. And then one day Nina decides, I want to visit my grandmother. And so she stops by the house and Abuela's not home. And she decides, I think I'll just tidy up for my Abuela as like a little surprise. Everything will be nice and clean by the time she gets back, she thought. Then Nina noticed a jar tucked away. Here's the jar on top of her fridge. It was full of money, old money. Oh no, thought Nina, it's all worthless. Because once they turned the money in, it just was like paper. It wasn't worth anything. So then Abuela came home and she was so delighted to see her granddaughter, and her kitchen was sparkling clean. And then her granddaughter took out that jar of money that her grandmother had saved so carefully, now worth nothing. And so they thought back to like what she used to do with her grandmother. And she said, with the old bills, Nina and Abuela made the most beautiful papel picado banners. It's like paper banners. And then they used it to decorate her house. And then this page is important, and I'll explain why in a second. That Saturday, Abuela and Nina went to the park, ate pan dulce, and watched the people pass by. It was still their favorite thing to do. So that's one way they had fun. They would just sit and eat pan dulce, and pan dulce in Spanish is just sweet bread. And so that brings me to my giveaway, because we don't have a lot of Latino markets that I know about in the Boston area. So I called my friend Dee, who's Cuban, because she used to buy like empanada wrappers, and we used to make empanadas together. And she said, oh, that market in West Roxbury, she goes, I think it's gone now. I think from COVID, it went out of business. And so I was like, okay, well, give me all your favorite Latino snacks. I'll just buy them online. And so she gave me a list, and one of them was this. This is yuca root chips. And it's very similar to a potato chip, but the yuca is just like a much sturdier chip. So it's a little thicker, a little bit sturdier, but salty and absolutely delicious. I have a bag of my own, and I am eating the whole thing myself. And I give little treats to my dog, and he also loves it. The other one she told me about was, the favorite was this one. And these are guava bites by Conchita. So it's kind of like a fig Newton.
Candy.
Yeah, like a fig. Do you know this one? But it has guava filling, but a fig Newton is soft. This is a little bit crispier, and also the guava filling is not as much as in the picture. I wish there was more guava filling, actually. They're really delicious. I've been eating them with tea. So those were the two, and then I was like, oh my gosh, that's not enough. So I went online and I watched a bunch of videos, and if everyone said they loved it, then I bought it. So one of this is called Maria's.
Crackers.
Do you know this one?
Crackers. I love crackers.
So I have 2 of these I'm giving away. And Maria's are these delicious cookies. And
Crackers.
they taste a little bit like animal crackers, like that's the flavor. But the texture is not as flaky as an animal cracker. It's more like a cookie, but they're absolutely delicious. So that's part of my giveaway. I also have 2 bags of this because when you buy it online, sometimes you cannot buy small quantities. You just have to buy whatever they sell. And so these are called sabritones. And this one is con chile e sabor, so like chili and lime. And it's kind of like a chicharron. So like kind of like a chip, kind of like a pork rind, crunchy and salty and sour. Absolutely delicious. And then everyone raved about these. And I only could buy a giant box. So there's 24. So I ate one of them to try them. Well, I have 23 to give away. These are called Gancitos filled snack cakes. They're by Marinella. And so they're kind of like if you take a Twinkie and then you combine it with like a ho-ho, but with a jam filling. They're absolutely delicious. And I didn't eat it frozen, but everyone on the YouTube video says you have to store them frozen and then eat it when it's cold, because they said it's just better that way. And when I ate mine, it was a little warm in my room, so it was a little bit more melty. And I can say, absolutely, I think freezing it is the way to go. So there's 23 of these, so that would be really good for a group. And then I got these free from buying whatever. So these are Takis Volcano. So I think Takis are pretty widely available. They're kind of like very like spicy hot Cheetos, but volcano flavor might be extra spicy. They're actually too spicy for me, but I have 3 small packages. But the one that I really wanted, which I have an entire box, that's the only way I could buy it, is this Conchitas, because this is actually pan dulce. I was like, I have to have that. That's what they ate, pan dulce. So that's a sweet bread. And these are individually packaged. And there are 8 single packs. And they're pretty hefty. One of them is like the size of my hand. Maybe they had fresher ones like from a bakery, but this pan dulce is basically what Abuela and Nina are eating. And so that's my giveaway. Plus, I'll give away my hard copy of the book. And I will mail everything out tomorrow to the winner, who will be chosen from this group. And so, unfortunately, yeah, Amy couldn't make it. But I think in terms of a art project, I think what would be great is you can use any kind of paper or even like coffee filters or origami paper, any kind of paper. And just, you can fold it and make little cutouts, and they can be little shapes. And you can use pattern paper or newspaper. I mean, they used old money. I maybe wouldn't recommend money, but you could use money, especially because foreign money is so pretty. Like our American money is kind of monochromatic, but all other foreign money is always so beautiful with so many different colors. So I think any kind, you could use magazine clippings. But if anyone wanted to just fold the paper up however many folds you want, and then make little cutouts and open it up, then you would be making the same beautiful banners. And then you could tape them up in a row, or you could tape it to a string and hang it on a wall. You could use it for like birthday party decorations, or you can make a back to school banner, or you can make Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. So we don't have that, but I think we can also ask Amy to make a video, right, Ellie? And we could have her post what her project is.
Yeah, of course. I
but
love
this
how
one's simple enough, right? You just need scissors and any kind of paper. So we probably don't need to mail it. Normally our projects involve more specialized resources. So, okay. So does anyone have any questions on the book, or have any favorite Latino snacks that they suggest that they want everyone to know about? Lorena, you might have some, right, from your son's favorite. I noticed he really liked the Maria's cookies. I thought, right?
You want to ask her about the snack or the grandma?
Snack.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. What are your favorite snacks?
I love marshmallows.
Marshmallows. That's delicious. If you like marshmallows, I think this one would be good for you. The gancitos. Have you ever had the gancitos?
No.
Because it looks like cake and then a layer of jam. And then that white part is marshmallow filling. And then the whole thing is covered in chocolate. And they're pretty small. I'll show you one. Yeah, they're pretty small.
You look like the triangle we eat.
And then you can eat them room temperature or you could freeze them. But I heard they're really good cold.
My hands.
It's okay. You clean your hands.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's gonna get his hands dirty.
that's okay. You can wash your hands. Do you have an abuela that you do activities with or talk to?
Yeah.
Is your abuela in another country or is your abuela nearby?
Maybe to the store.
She takes you to the store. Oh, that's really nice. I feel like the abuela in this book would
He
take
likes
her
the
granddaughter
part
to the store
He
too.
liked the part when he saw the grandma at the beach with the little girl. And that's
Oh,
every time we go to the beach, he's always at the edge playing with his grandmother with the kids getting on the water. That was his favorite part. Yeah, remember that part?
Yeah.
oh, that's so nice. What beach do you guys go to?
We normally go on the Jersey, the Avon by the sea, close by the Ocean Grove, Ashbury Park.
Does your grandmother hold your hand just like in the picture?
Just exactly what about the picture. And they jump, they play, they laugh, they go back and forth with the waves.
That
I
sounds
even
so
have
fun.
pictures of them like that playing.
That sounds so, what a nice thing to do with your grandmother. She sounds really active.
Yes.
Did your grandmother get scared of the water or the big waves?
No, mommy already got scared.
Mommy, that was you.
Yeah, well, it can be scary, right? If the waves get big or if you don't expect to get wet and all of a sudden you get wet, that can be kind of scary, right? Do you sit, what do they also do? They like to just sit together at the park and they just like to eat snacks and just like people watch. Do you guys ever like to sit on a park bench or go to a park?
Yeah, we go
Oh, it's
to
a little big.
Shepherd's Lake, and they have like it goes like I think a manor mansion or something. They have like a nice beautiful garden, and then we go there and they sit same way too.
Oh, that's
She
so
always
nice.
carry a little bag, like kind of like a lunch bag with always stuff for him to eat, like yogurt, cookies, fruits, same way.
And so what kind of cookies do you pack?
What kind of cookies you like? Which crackers? Show her which cracker. It's not like from our country, it's from here.
This one.
Those are the ones that he likes.
Can I see?
Sure. Oh, sorry. This is the one that he likes. The ducks.
Dogs. Oh,
This is the one that he likes.
where are those from?
It says biscoito galleta salada. Oh, I think actually I never
Oh, it's
even.
another Latino cookie.
Water.
Yeah, I think it is. It's dogs in. Oh, interesting. Let me look. Oh, I can see.
Well, I
very
think that's a very good recommendation for Hispanic
Yeah.
Heritage Month. A cookie highly recommended from an actual child.
The other ones that he really likes, or we're not, I'm from Ecuador, so my kids have an Ecuadorian background.
Oh,
The ones that he loves to eat that I introduced to him from my country is called tango.
Tango.
Like,
Oh,
like the dance tango.
yes, yes.
It's also like, it looks like the Maria's cookie, but it's covered with chocolate and it has the white stuff in the middle. Yeah,
So it's like an Oreo
it's like
then.
two Marias covered with chocolate and the white thing in the middle, and we call it tango.
Tango. So it sounds almost like a Oreo cookie.
Oreo, yeah.
But
But
yours
it's not
is covered in
but it's not a
chocolate.
chocolate cookie, yeah.
Yeah. And did you know that actually, because this is coming up for our next one for October, that we're going to give away international candy, but the FDA in the United States, the standards for chocolate is lower than anywhere else in the world. So like the chocolate in the US tastes more waxy and it doesn't taste as chocolatey. So if you had an Oreo cookie, the standard is different. than this international cookie. Your cookie will taste much more chocolatey, much richer, much more delicious. So the tango sounds delicious. I'll look for it. We can do it when we do another celebration, because I literally just was like, what do people like? And I was literally watching video after video because I wanted something good. So I'm so happy to have your recommendation.
I can always
you.
get a bag because they sell it close in the supermarket nearby, and give it to Amy. If you see her often, she can always give it to you.
So we
Yeah,
bought
she moved to California.
Oh.
Yeah, she just moved like 2 weeks ago. So, but thank you.
Yeah, we bought yogurt.
Yogurt, that sounds delicious and healthy.
Sounds healthy.
What
Yeah.
kind of yogurt do you like? Do you like Yoplait or do you like
No, it's like this is the only yogurt that he drinks.
oh yeah, Danimals. Yummy.
It's the only one. He's not a dairy eater. He doesn't like cheese or milk itself. He doesn't eat cereal with milk. He only eats oatmeal with almond milk.
He might be lactose intolerant or lactose.
I'm not sure, but it's.
And what kind of fruit does he like?
He likes grapes, blueberries, strawberries, banana, apple, and that's it.
You're a great fruit eater. Well, that is so great. Thank you so much for sharing your snack ideas. And these are all great snacks for the lunchbox as well. So now we're going to turn it over to Alex, and Alex is with Candlewick Press. So this beautiful book was written and illustrated by Cecilia Ruiz and is published by Candlewick Press. And Candlewick Press is honestly my favorite publishing company in the entire world. It actually is local to me, like they're in Somerville, I believe, right outside of Cambridge. I visited them, I think twice. But I think they're not the largest publishing company by any stretch, but I think they're consistently, they make the most beautiful picture books. And I feel the reason why, and they've won tons of awards. They won the Newbery like 2 years ago. They win a ton of awards. And I think it's because I feel like each book that they pick, someone in there did it with so much love. Like they chose the book and they just love that story, and they work so well with the author and the illustrator that the end result, there's always something special about the book, and always something a little bit more than you would expect. Like, for example, Tiny Perfect Things, which is one of my favorite books. The cover was like amazing because it was like almost like quilted and textured. And you don't see that a lot because that's a really expensive book finish. And so like, I feel like every single book you can point out, there's something super special about their books that someone went above and beyond.
Do you think that may be because the person from that particular culture does the book? You think if the person is of the culture, they're more likely to do a beautiful book?
I mean, I think that's true for an authentic story, but I know in Candlewick, the editor may not necessarily be of the same minority as the author. Like, for example, this book, I don't believe the editor. But I think Candlewick Press was also one of the earlier publishers to recognize the value of diverse picture books and to champion before anyone else did. And so, I don't know. I honestly, like, when I was talking to a potential agent and they were like, what are your goals as a picture book author? And I was like, my only goal is to get a book published by Candlewick. I was like, I don't care about anybody else. Agent was like, really? Okay, that's an odd goal, but okay. Like, okay. I was like, no, I was like, that would be it. That'd be the pinnacle of success for me. But yeah, this one is Cecilia Ruiz. She is from Mexico, but she teaches at RISD, where my daughter is a student, but not illustration. She was born and raised in Mexico City and now lives in Brooklyn. And so it is definitely own voices. I feel like this probably was her own experience with her grandmother. You know, it just has a lot of authenticity, and also has a feeling like she lived through that financial crisis, you know, and could convey in a way like how it affected everyday people in a way that isn't like too scary, but like just to people know, like all of a sudden, like we didn't have, like there was no money to save. And we found the money and it was worthless. And like, that's maybe not something we think about in the US because we've never had a financial crisis to the point where we had to abandon all of our money and start over with a new type of currency. So now I'm going to turn over to Alex, and she's going to share some of her favorite books that Candlewick Press has made in the past or is about to release that she thinks would be great for Hispanic Heritage Month. And feel free to chime in with comments and questions because this is a super casual conversation.
Yes, thank you so much, Mia. I'm very excited to be here and kick off Hispanic Heritage Month with you guys. Actually, that's so funny that you said that you felt like A Gift from Abuela had like tones of it being inspired from Cecilia's own life, because it actually is. The idea came from, that's exactly what happened to her grandmother. She was saving a bunch of like Mexican pesos, and then it became devalued and it wasn't worth anything. And then her grandma forgot about the stash of bills that she had. And so by the time that she found it, she couldn't take it to the bank anymore and exchange it. It was just scraps of paper. So it's exactly what happens in the story. But just as Nina and Abuela like turn these scraps of paper into the beautiful papel picado, like Cecilia has transformed this family tale into something that's really touching and beautiful. So yeah, it is exactly, it's inspired by her own life experiences. And I'm also just happy that you showed all of those interiors. Those are some of my favorite pictures that you, like some of the interiors that you showed were some of my favorite ones as well, because abuelas are really cool, right guys? Like everyone has one and we love them so much. And I don't know about you, but I keep a picture of my abuela with me very nearby. And I just wanted to share because I'm so excited by it that I don't know if you guys can see. So this is me and my abuela here. And this, if you can kind of tell side by side, we're wearing like the same colors. They look the same.
So what country do your grandparents or do you originate from? Like you sound like you speak Spanish.
Yes, I'm Mexican American. So my grandma immigrated here from Mexico. So this also feels very near and dear to my heart to be able to share A Gift from Abuela with you guys. And by coincidence, we look so similar to Abuela Nina here on the cover.
What was the role that you played with this book?
So unfortunately, I did not work on this book with the editor, but so I kind of came in after the fact. But it's one of those where you just kind of pick up and like, oh, I wish I had this when I was growing up, because you know we're so similar when all the activities that we do. And it sounds like, you know, a lot of abuelas like to go to the beach and you know go to the stores. So I feel like we're all the same, whether we have an abuela or a grandma or a mama or whoever, whatever we call them, they're all very similar and they like to take care of us. So it's very nice to have abuelas that look like ours. But yeah, so I love that you guys love this book. And I'm also excited to share some other books with you that you may or may not know about them. So I have here, I don't have it with me, the one I would like to start with, but I'm sure you can easily look it up. It's called Gustavo the Shy Ghost, or a Spanish language edition, Gustavo el Fantasmita Tímido. So it's perfect for Halloween, it's coming up, or Dia de los Muertos. And it's about Gustavo. As you can tell from the title, he's a shy ghost and he just wants to make friends. I know we all know how it can be a little hard and a little scary to make friends sometimes, but it's a great story about he just finds some courage and he's able to go out there and meet some ghouly friends. And the art is so beautiful. Flavia Drago her artwork is positively adorable. So
I remember I got this book. I think it came out last year.
Yeah.
And I remember it was so cute. I remember Gustavo's shy, and he's also like, it's hard to make friends when you're a ghost because nobody can see you.
Yes, exactly.
Like, yes, extra problems. You're shy. And it was great because that book worked on so many different levels, sort of making friends and also Halloween and Hispanic Heritage Month. It really has layers of how, and then also, as you said, beautiful artwork, beautifully designed. I was trying to think if I have a copy. I might have that copy, but I have to search, so I don't want to take time for that. But yes, highly recommend it, and you get so much purpose from it if you were like a teacher or a librarian or a parent, because you could read it in September and then bust it out in October for Halloween. And then anytime, if your child is shy, or if you notice there's someone shy, that would be a good book for her to say, like, look around when you're new to the, new to the new school. If someone's quiet or not, participating, maybe they just need to make a friend. And so maybe they feel invisible, like it's sort of like a parable. So if you see someone, because you're so loud and taking up so much space, like my daughter, maybe make room for everybody. And so it can work for all different personality types.
Definitely. I know I was a little shy, so it definitely took a little work for me to get out there and meet people. So it's perfect. Like you said, it's great for everyone, all personality types. It's very encouraging. And I'm also happy to mention I have a slew of Meg Medina titles for you guys. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She really knows how to celebrate the Latinx culture and experience. But all of her stories are so universal still, and she taps into emotions so well, because we already established that we love abuelas. I have Mango Abuela and Me, or Spanish Mango Abuela y Yo. And it's so lovely to just talks about the struggles that sometimes we have communicating with family members, if there's a bilingual or a language barrier. I know I always felt a little embarrassed when I didn't always understand family members growing up, but this book is there's no shaming. It's all about love and just, learning how to overcome together whatever your language barrier might be.
So I know Meg Medina won the Newbery 2 years ago for Mercy Suarez.
She did.
But I know she won some awards for that picture book. I remember it won like Bella Pubra. I don't know how to say it correctly. Yes. I remember it won a slew of awards. And I remember when I read it, I thought it was a fantastic picture book. And like the illustration style was kind of unique. You don't always see that sort of a little bit cartoony, but definitely illustrative or illustration.
Yeah.
So it was really sort of distinctive. Like I think it's very engaging for kids to see something that's like they can really relate to, especially if kids like graphic novels or comic books. I think they would definitely relate to just like the style of the book, and the story is just really warm and fun.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm sure, you don't have to be a Spanish speaker or Latinx to understand what that language barrier can be like and how it can feel a little intimidating at times. So that just speaks really well to that, just like shyness, but also just overcoming that with love and finding, connections without, other than language with those we care about most. So
and I think the whole point of Hispanic Heritage Month is for all of us from all different cultures to kind of take a deep dive into Hispanic culture, Latino culture. And like, that's our time to be like, let's celebrate the authors and illustrators and learn a little bit more about the culture. And because when we did like our book club for August, which was Raksha Bandhan, which is a Hindu holiday, most of us were like, man, that's the coolest holiday ever. I wish I was Hindu. I wish I knew about it. I wish I could celebrate it. And the nice thing with Hispanic Heritage Month or all of these, it's an invitation for everyone to join in. It's like everyone's included and everyone can read books. And it's almost like also to anyone who's of that heritage, plays a little bit of a host role where, like for me, I asked my Indian friend, like, how do you celebrate? And what kind of bracelets do you get? And what do you give your sister for gifts? And, and so he explained it all in detail, how he celebrates it in India, and sent me photos. And it's just kind of fun. It just feels like I have a best friend who is, whatever, Mexican. I actually had a best friend who's half Mexican growing up. And one of my fondest memories was going to her house after, like Christmas afternoon, like after you open presents, and they would always have steamed tamales, which they didn't make, they would buy it. My whole family would be like, okay, is it tamale time yet? And so then we'd walk down the block, knock on the door, Merry Christmas, like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they'd be like, tamales. And we're like, we love tamales. And that was like the first time I've ever had tamales. And now it's like something that like I want to introduce my kids to. And I always talk about like the Monzos. Remember when you go to their house on Christmas and eat their tamales, they'd have like 30 of them steaming at all times. And it was like an open house. And it was just, I think when we can celebrate other people's holidays and eat their food, it just like you know, like it's like the best of everything, you know.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. It's a celebration of our communities, of people, you know, even within our community, right? You know, whatever your community might be, there's a variety of experiences and cultural touchstones. Like no one is the same. And the fact that we get to share that and spotlight it and in all of its unique and unique ways is what's so beautiful. And I think that's why I love that you guys are doing this, and we get to kind of go through and show all of these different books, just, you know, so we can see characters who are Latinx or Latina and the varieties of their stories, the way they look. It's, you know, it's all different, it's complex, and it's beautiful. So
well, I want to share a comment that Sonia Adams typed in. She wrote, I like Candlewick books like the Judy Moody chapter book series and the picture books by Atanuke and other picture books illustrated by Juana Martinez Neal. Amen to that. Absolutely. And then Alex Robertson also wrote earlier, Sabritones are my favorite. And those were those
yes, those snacks.
these guys.
Yes.
I just want to add that I think that that we're doing should be a requirement in every educational setting. Earlier is always better, but it would really establish us as more creative, more human, more different, and have it celebrated as opposed to ignoring it or denying it, kind of thing. And I think it should start at age 4 and go right on through college, where you name where things come from. You know, they don't all come from around the corner.
That's a great point, Barbara. And also, if you do it in this way that's like a book club with snacks and activities, it's a joy. It's just like my kids are grown now, but they tell me their absolute favorite activity growing up was when I hosted a book club for them. Each of them had their own with their friends. And it was always a book, which you didn't have to read, because a lot of times my kids would never read it. And then the other kids would be like, oh my God, you should read, it's such a good book. And they would literally book talk it. And it would be a themed food and then some kind of activity. And we did it monthly. And it was so fun. And that's why I do it now, because I kind of miss it, because my oldest is in high school. He's going to be a junior. And there's no more hosting of the picture book club or the middle grade. I bet Alex has more books to share.
I do. And you're never too old for picture books or middle grade.
That's true.
That is my belief. But yes, you already mentioned Mercy, which we love, but I wanted to quickly get to continue with the Meg Medina train. Evelyn Del Rey is moving away, or Evelyn Del Rey se muda, which is, we have both the Spanish and English edition. And so sweet. 2 best friends. One, Evelyn, is moving. Daniela, her other friend, is staying. They won't be neighbor best friends anymore. But as with all of Meg's books, there's always a hopeful aspect to it. So even though they're moving and things are different, you know, time passes by, and at the end, still keep in touch. And you can kind of see that even as they grow older, they're still friends and they're best friends at heart. And that's what I love this book so much for that reason. It's so like, it gets me choked up a little bit when I read it. My best friend also moved away when I was 13. But we still stay in touch. We've been best friends since 1st grade. And so I love this book. And I think it's great for anyone who is going through change or especially moving, has that best friend that's not quite so near anymore. So definitely a very sweet book.
Who is the illustrator? Because I love the illustrations.
Yes, this is Sonia Sanchez.
She's fantastic. I have this on my list of like best friend like moving away, because I did a list from the perspective of like they have it like best friend's gone, but I did this list from the perspective like you're the one left behind. Like it's like it's equally traumatic. I think you move away and everything's new, but it seems to be more about the books are like, oh, they move away and like now I have a new school and I have to make new friends. But then I was just thinking from the perspective, because I think I grew up in the same neighborhood forever, of like what a hole ripped out, you know, when your best friend moves away. So I was like, my heart bleeds for those two. So I think for sure that I know that book is on the list, because I remember what a fantastic book and that came out like about a year ago also, I believe, right?
Yes, that's right.
And I think you might have more goodies for us, right?
I do have a few more for you guys if you have time for me.
We do.
So I have Juana and Lucas here, written by Juana Medina, and we have a Spanish edition, Juana y Lucas. And this is actually fun. This is an advanced reader copy, even though these are out. So this is kind of before a first draft of the book, if you will, that you guys can get to see before they go out into the world. So this is Juana and her best friend Lucas, and they get into all kinds of mischief together, fun mischief, of course.
Now they're based in Colombia, right?
Yes, they're Colombian.
And Juana Medina actually illustrated one of our Multicultural Children's Book Day classroom kit posters. So she did her empathy one for immigration and refugee experience. And I love those books. I just thought it's sort of like a younger version of like Ramona the Pest, or, you know, if you like a Sarah Pennypacker Clementine series or Ivy and Bean, it has that vibe, but it's set in Colombia. They're like definitely like upper middle class or middle class. So it's like which is kind of great, because you don't always read, like if you think about some of those countries, you think like, oh, it's a lot of poverty, which is true. This is more of like a slice of life of like something that a lot of kids could relate to, like, oh my gosh, she lives just like me. Like I have a dog, she has a dog. She goes to school, you know, it's similar. And, you know, she is going to have a new stepfather, and like that, I can relate to that. But it's very sweet and very relatable. And it's a series, because I know I've read 3 different, and each one it's like it gets better and better. Like, you know, a lot of times in the series you're kind of like, I love the first one, the second one, like, but literally each one, it gets better and better. And also you see Juana progressing, like, you know, now, you know, she's living with her mom, and then, oh, there's an introduction of her mother's boyfriend, and then, oh, they get married, and kind of all the sort of emotions and anxieties about that, and always a happy ending. And then such a loyal, steady pal with her dog, you know, which we can all relate to. And that dog is very like human-like. I mean, like Juana thinks of her dog. It's just wonderful. I love that series so much. Are you saying there's a picture book version? Because it was sort of an early chapter book, as I recall.
Yes, no, this is just no, this is definitely the early chapter book. The version I'm showing here is just an advanced reader's copy, so it's kind of before.
Oh, okay, so I feel like the first one came out about 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and there's been 2 since.
Yes,
and I mean, honestly, that I believe won a bunch of awards, and it just gets better and better. It like if your kids are still reading picture books, it still would be a great read aloud, you know. And then once they progress into reading independently, then that absolutely can also be an entry point. But the story is relatable, I would say, like 3 and 4 and up. And if you read it out loud, there's no like, oh, they won't understand it. They definitely will.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great kind of primer for Spanish for anyone who is learning or trying to retain it. We even have like really fun activities on our website that you can find that have like flashcards and stuff for many of these books. I won't say for all of them, but for many you can find like activity sheets and really fun things if you're trying to engage more with the stories. Yeah, to just be more engaging with them. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can find online too.
Yeah, because she definitely drops in Spanish words here or there, but I speak a little bit of Spanish, but not that much, but definitely doesn't hinder the story. And she writes it in such a way that you completely cannot know Spanish and you absolutely know what that word is in the context of how she writes it, and like you don't miss a blip, but it does give you a flavor. I think that's great. It's very seamless. Just like the Spanish word dropped in here or there.
So that's all I have for you book-wise to kind of show and tell.
Does anyone have any questions, or do they want to share any of their favorite books? I have this one actually, which is Finding Home by Esteli Meza, and the publisher is Orchard Books, which is a imprint of Scholastic. And it is a little bit of an immigration story where Conejo, which is, I think it's bunny in Spanish, anyone like from New York, his home blows away, like literally poof. And then so he spends the book kind of searching for a nice place to live. And so it's like a great way to sort of introduce like a refugee experience in a really gentle way. And as you can see, like beautiful illustrations, and it kind of is to me evocative of like a Latino like art aesthetic. So Esteli Meza is both the author and the illustrator, but just, I don't know, just does an amazing job of telling the story. Does anyone else have any stories that they like?
I wanted to show the books. I wanted to share. This is the book
thank you.
that I have since my first child. My oldest one is now 14. He's going to turn 15 in September. So we've been reading this book since the first one. I had 3. So it's called Abuela. It's by Arthur Doros.
That one is like, that's almost like an OG book, because that was one of the first books I learned about when I was like, what are the Latino picture books? And it's such a beautiful one.
Yeah, it's a little longer. It has a lot of beautiful pictures like the ones that you just show, special moments sharing with Abuela at the park, feeding the birds.
And it would pair so well. Like I really love to do book pairings where you read 2 books that are the same, then you can talk about what's the same and what's different. And it's just like 2 different experiences. So I have a message that Sonia might have had a question.
I just had a comment. I just wanted to acknowledge the author illustrator Juana Martinez Neal. I have her latest picture book, Zonia's Rainforest. It's a lovely picture book. It takes place in Amazon rainforest, and the picture, the pictures are really nice. I like the detail, the color scheme, and the paper type for the pages. Really nice. Yeah.
Not a coincidence, a Candlewick Press book. Okay. This is one of the books I have, like when I make my list of potential Caldecott winners, and this has been getting a ton of buzz. I agree. It's just gorgeous. And it's on like paper that's like, it looks like it's recycled paper too, which like really fits the theme of the book. I forgot to pull it out. Thank you, Sonia, for reminding me. I think I was so
great selection for Hispanic Heritage Month.
Absolutely. Why didn't I think of that? So thank you.
So lovely about that one too. I think there's a note in the back about the indigenous peoples that live in the Amazon. So it kind of, again, covering a lot of who's in our community and how broad our community is.
And also just, it has a very strong environmental message. So it's super timely and gorgeous. And Medina Neal, like consistently, whether an author or just an illustrator, she just like hits it out of the park. She's just incredible. So, and just quickly, next month we'll be doing Boo Stew, and this is a fractured fairy tale. It's a Halloween story, but with a twist, a diverse twist. And the author is Donna L. Washington. And just as a special guest, she actually is a professional voiceover talent. And she may or may not be our guest, and she may or may not be reading the book out loud. And I think that would be amazing because she's a voice talent. And this is her, I think, 3rd or 4th picture book. So I hope you can join us next month. The giveaway will be international candy. So I had my daughter, when she went to Canada, bring back chocolate because they're very different, like a Kit Kat here and a Kit Kat there. Look exactly the same, but taste very different. And so I might add other candy from around the world, like from Japan and Korea. just because I'm at the Korean market and Japanese market a lot, so that'd be easy. Thank you for everyone who came and participated, to Alex especially for dropping in as our special guest.